Mob rule is replacing democratic rule. Those are the words of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as he calls for a more robust police response to intimidation, disruption and subversion.
It comes as the Home Office announced yesterday a package of £31 million aimed at protecting MPs in response to the domestic impact of the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict.
Well, joining us now is our political editor, Christopher Hope. Christopher, very interesting to hear from a serving Prime Minister talking about how there's a growing consensus that mob rule is replacing democratic rule. It doesn't sound like he's in a position of strength with those words.
No, and you might wonder why the PM hasn't taken action before this. He's called police chiefs to number 10 and read the Riot Act to them, frankly. He said to them that the growing consensus that mob rule is replacing democratic rule. They want the police officers to ensure that their officers use existing powers to stop the feeling that the mob is taking over in some parts of the capital, particularly when there were these demonstrations we saw last Wednesday, when that language about sweeping Israel away was projected onto the Elizabeth Tower, which houses Big Ben. Now, our colleague Martin Daubney filmed the projector that was doing that. But no one went near it. The police stood by watching that being projected. That is against the law. So the big complaint, I think, from people, maybe the Jewish community, those who are concerned about Israel and the pressure it's getting from the Palestinian demonstrators here, is why on earth are the police not enforcing the laws they've got? We don't need more laws, just the police can enforce the laws they've got. And I think that's the change in tone that's being set by the Prime Minister today in Downing Street. Not everyone is happy about it. Amnesty International has said that talking of mob rule willfully exaggerates the issue and risks delegitimising the rights for peaceful protest. So not everyone agrees with the Prime Minister, but I think on top of the £31 million of taxpayers' money now being spent to protect MPs, giving them a hotline to police stations, giving them private security for those most at risk, there's I think a line in the sand was crossed last week.
Is it fair to say, sorry, just quickly, is it fair to say, Christopher, that there's a battle emerging between the police and the government here? Clearly, Rishi Sunak is not impressed with how the police have been acting with regards to these protests.
Yes, and of course policing is complicated. It's all very well for Rishi Sunak to sit in his protected office in Downing Street and order the police to be firmer with these demonstrators, but out on the street, police have got to weigh up the fact that if they do arrest people or they are tougher, it could inflame a very delicate situation. So they can't always step in when politicians want them to. And I think that is where there's a balance to be struck between allowing some things to pass in order to maintain the peace and stepping in, and that might kick off even more. So it's difficult for the police. The police do have a difficult job to do. But I think the line was crossed last Wednesday, and that's why the PM is stepping in today.